There we go. Get the blender. All right. So we've got that recording started. Yep, okay. And this is where we left off from our last video, right? We started the chair up. We'll come back and do some bevels to this later on. Remember, you don't have to do bevels quite yet, right? That's the kind of thing that eventually, at some point, you want to do. If you're feeling pretty happy with this, you can do it now. If you wanted to do a little more work on it, which we will eventually, you can do that. Like I said, I wanted to kind of get the actual seat made today as well, right? I want to show you some stuff about add-ons. We'll come back and do a little more work to this stuff later on. So, one of the things you can actually do in Blender is Blender comes with its own free plugins called add-ons, right? Not only can you actually find some online that are free and some of them paid for. I'm a big fan of bpainter for improving the layer-based texture painting tools, but that's not free. It's like $40 or something like that. I'm not going to make you guys get that at all, right? But there are some add-ons that Blender comes with, and of course there are free add-ons out there that you can add to the workflow, right? Blender's great stock, but there's a great community out there. You can go to blender.org to find it, but there's also Blender Nation, Blender Market, right? There's a really excellent Blender community out there that provides either really cheap or free add-ons to improve and add functionality to an already pretty awesome package in Blender. So how do we turn on the add-ons that come with Blender? Because Blender actually comes with a bunch of add-ons that they're there. You don't have to find them. You don't have to and even install them. They're already installed. You just have to turn them on. So if we go to Edit, right, the Edit menu, at the very bottom we know there's Preferences, right? And we've seen this before, right? Edit, Preferences. And we know we can go to Key Map. We can change it to Industry Compatible because I'm a big fan of Industry Compatible. I've come to Blender more recently in the last couple of years, and I think there's a lot of just great ergonomics that work well with Industry Compatible, better than the default stuff. But you have choices, right? That's cool. You have kind of options for how you want to approach it. But you'll also notice that there is a section a couple up from Key Map in the Blender Preferences called Add-ons, right? Now, like I said, you don't have to use these. You don't have to turn these on. But I am going to start to use them and show them to you, right? They're not necessary to do the things we've been doing, but they are cool ones, right? Some things you've noticed, like in my modifier stack, I have these 4 extra buttons, right? Apply all, delete all, toggle stack, viewport viz, right? And that's actually an add-on, believe it or not, right? So if I go to add-ons in the Blender Preferences, right? So it's just Edit, Preferences. Then we just go up here to add-ons, right? I can go up here and I can type a couple of things in. In fact, you'll see I've kind of got this little section on the board called add-on. And it says like search words, and things like mesh and mod are actually good search words. So if I say turn on mesh, or I do a search, right? So you go to the add-on section. There's a little magnifying glass. You type in the word mesh, M-E-S-H. What that does is you'll see that there's actually a couple of things that I've turned on here, like automirror. But that's how easy it is to turn it on, right? You check on it, right? These are all Blender add-ons. They already come with Blender. You don't have to find them. You don't have to install them, right, because you can't install them. They're already there. You just have to turn it on, right? So you check on automirror. I like to check on edit mesh tools as well and loop tools, right? So those are some good ones to kind of have on by default. Specifically right now for today, because I want to show it to you, automirror, right? Automirror. But edit mesh tools is a good one. Loop tools is a good one. If you want to go up here, you can actually type in mod for the search, right? And you'll see that there is one called Interface Modifier Tools, and that's actually this one right here. And I like that one, so I checked that one on also. So that's how you can go and turn on add-ons, right? Do you have to use these? No. You have the functionality otherwise in Blender, but it does automate a few of the steps to make it a bit faster sometimes, right? So these do not have to be turned on today. If you don't turn them on today, you're still going to do all the work. But these are cool ones to do, right? Probably the biggest ones, though, today in the add-on section is, like I said, just go to magnifying glass, mesh, M-E-S-H, and check on that automirror. Although, since you're in that area, you might as well check on edit mesh tools and loop tools also. And they're just checkboxes. So once again, that was just edit, preferences, add-ons, and then you can just kind of do search words up here, mesh or mod. And those will kind of bring up some good ones to try on. There's a few other we can do. I'll talk about installing stuff for you guys later on as well. But I just want to start to get you guys familiar with add-ons, right? With add-ons. It's right there. Okay. So a little bit on that, and I'll talk about it more, and we'll do some review lecture on it more as well. And of course, there'll be this video for it as also. So what I want to do is I want to make a whole new object again, right? Because I want to make the seat. And even though this could be one object together, and we can always join them later on, sometimes it's easier just to have them as separate objects so you can kind of set up different properties if you need to. So of course, if I go 4 for object mode, right? Remember, 4 is our quick key for object mode. But remember, it is a pull-down menu up here, right? There is this little menu up here, and you have object and edit mode right there, 1 and 4, right? Now that I'm back in object mode, I can go to the add menu, right? Mesh, cube. And we saw this yesterday in our review lecture, right? We've actually seen this a few times. And you'll see it more, right? We're going to see it more and more, right? Part of teaching anything is practice, right? Reinforcement. So add mesh, cube. And now we have kind of the start for our seat there. Now, normally we would go into, say, like edit mode, either 1 or 2 or 3 for vertex, edge, or face. Remember today's mini quiz is what is select edge, right? What is shortcut for edge select? 2, right? 2. But I want to show you the add-on for automirror, right? I've turned it on. That's what I kind of spent the first couple of minutes in this video talking about, was edit preferences add-ons. You will notice right up here, right next to outliner, there's a little V. It's kind of pointing towards the left, right? There's a little V pointing towards the left, this direction, right? That, if we click on it, opens this up. So I just like left click on it, and it opens this little tab up here, right? So it's right here. It's kind of right next to outliner, kind of in between the X, Y, Z little kind of buttons right here. It's a little V. It's kind of right there, but it's pointing towards the left. You just click on it. It opens this up. If you want to close this down, you see how you can kind of click on the edge, right? So you see how you can left click on the edge and drag it in, and it kind of closes it, right? Or opens it. So kind of a little bit about how to do that. Once we pop this up, though, there's a lot of new tabs that pop up here. The one we want is edit, right? We want to go to edit here. And you'll see once we're in edit, I can close B surfaces because I don't want that. It pops up these. And you see how you can click on these to kind of open or close them, right? Left click on B surfaces to open and close it. But you see once we're on that edit tab, there is something called automirror. And you see how we can click to open this up. And what this is an automated way to set up your automirror, right? Or your mirror modifier, right? So it's really just a new way to do your mirror modifier. However, you'll see that you could turn editable on. So it'll turn that triangle on kind of thing. It will put it right into edit mode. And you can even pick which axis. So me, I just kind of check those two on. You leave that one unchecked. You pick the axis you want to mirror it on. And then you hit auto mirror. And you'll see what it does is it automatically cuts and mirrors and even turns clipping on, right? So that's what's really cool about auto mirror, is it automatically puts an edge loop down the center, deletes 1/2, and then sets up your mirror modifier. So see how we would kind of go through and do that manually before, right? We'd put a loop cut in the center, then we go to face mode, select the faces, delete. Now we have a way to automate it to make it a little bit quicker. Remember, that's edit, preferences, add-ons, and then you just type in mesh as the search word up here, M-E-S-H, and then just check on automirror. And then this will be available in this little V right here, right? There's this little V right there. So I can click on that to open it up. That's where your automirror is at, right? You can kind of open this up. You'll now see that once we're in edit mode, things like mesh tools and loop tools will show up too. And those have got some neat functions that we'll see a little more later on as we go. But you can just left click on these to open and close them. Automirror. Can you do mirroring and setting up this without automirror? Of course you can, right? We've been doing that up to this point. But you see how automirror kind of takes a couple of steps out of it? It's a bit faster and easier, right? It's just a smidge quicker, right? So you have an automirror add-on that sets up a lot of this for you. You just check two things, hit auto mirror, and you're good to go. And of course, you can pick multiple axes as well. And now you'll see we've got this mirrored and working properly. We can make sure to go to 3 for face mode, right? 3 for face mode. Left click on a face. W for move, right? Remember, they're all right here, though. Select tool, Q, W, move, E, rotate, R, scale. Remember, edit mode's right here, which is 1, but you have vertex, edge, and face selection types, and those are 2 and 3. Today's quiz, edge select, 2, right? And then, of course, I can left-click drag on that blue handle to move this down. Maybe left-click on this front one and grab the green arrow, right? Left-click drag on the green arrow to move forward. Maybe a quick left-click on the side one, and then left-click drag on the red to make that. And now we have more of a seat, right? If I want, I can always even grab that back one, move it forward a little bit. And we've got the mirror all set up for it already. Remember, we like having clipping on. We like having that triangle on. That'll keep it from pulling the center off. And that all of a sudden starts to get us our mirror setup. And now we know about some of these cool add-ons like automirror, right? Now, I probably want some roundness on the front shape of this, right? Now, we've seen that we can use bevel for a lot of this, right? But that's actually not necessary always, right? You don't actually have to always use bevel to do these things. I could easily just do Alt-C for loop cut, right? Remember, loop cut's right here. It's one of the tools we've seen a bunch of times. Remember, I'm in modeling workspace. And I can always put an edge loop right there, right? And then if I wanted to, I can maybe put one in the back. Now, in this case, remember, just left-clicking automatically snaps to the middle. But if you hold down the left mouse button and drag, you see how you can actually drag that loop cut to a different spot? So I can easily just left-click drag with loop cut on to kind of put some of my own edge loops in here. Then I could go to 3 for face mode, Q for select, right? Although you could turn W on, and that'll allow you to select as well. And so I can move that forward a little bit. If I wanted to, I could go to 2 for edge. Left-click on that edge, move that in a little bit. Maybe 3 for face again, move that back a little bit. And you notice how I can just keep my move tool on? Right? Remember, you don't have to actually turn your move tool off. You could just go select different parts of your mesh with the move tool on. I have noticed that sometimes zooming in could do some weird stuff with selection, so you might want to make sure that either active tool or tweak is off for these tools, right? In this case, with select box on, you're fine. It's tweak that's the tricky one, right? So just keep that in mind, right? You can kind of switch around these a little bit. Select box is fine for us, though. And I can easily just kind of move some faces in or out just to give us a bit of a rounded shape without a bevel, right? So remember, you don't always have to use bevels to get that rounding. Of course, I can go back to loop cut, and I can maybe put an edge loop in the center here. And remember, one of the things you can do is go to 3 for face mode, right? 3 for face selections. If I want to, of course, I could left-click, shift left-click, shift left-click, shift left-click, shift left-click, select all those. That works. But remember, I've talked about this a little bit previously. Q is your quick key for your select tool. Q for quiz, Q for quit. But it also toggles through all your different selection types, and there's 4 of them. So if I hit Q again, you saw all of a sudden my selection tool, instead of being kind of a kind of dashed orange box, is a dashed orange circle. That is circle select. Now, circle select has a brush radius, so you can kind of see there's a circle on it. You make that bigger or smaller. But you'll notice if I just hold down my left mouse button and move my cursor, I could basically drag select or paint select. So that can often be a faster way to select a lot of polygons in an area than just doing it one at a time. Shift left click, shift left click, shift left click. So remember, Q toggles through. See, now it's lasso select. Now it's tweak, which for this is not exactly what we want, but tweak is actually a very cool tool. We just don't want it now. And a Q, again, it takes us back to rectangle select, where we can just left click, or just left click, drag a box. Of course, that doesn't select the other side. You have to turn X-ray on for that. But I can do Q one more time to circle select. Also, if you left click on the selection tool, right? So if I hold down my left mouse button on that tool itself, the very top tool, if I hold down left mouse button, it brings these options up. So you can actually go in here and specifically pick which one you want to use. If you've got shortcuts in mind, you can actually set some of these to shortcuts. But Q toggles through those, right? Circle select, and then you just hold down your left mouse button and move your cursor. Then I can hit R for scale. I grab one of these center ones. All the middle mouse button does it, right? Middle mouse button will uniform scale in. Maybe W for move to move that in a little bit. Maybe even down a little bit there. And now you can see we're kind of starting to get the chair cushions, right? The chair cushions. Now, of course, we can come in and do more bevels. I'm going to do some inset on these as well. If we want to, we can easily do extrusions for part of this, just like we did on this one, right? So it's not like we're stuck with what we have. If you wanted to do a little more work to this or have some prongs coming out, you could do that. I think for the cushion we're okay, though. And remember, you can always go back to different objects, right? For object mode, right? Remember, it's just right here, though, too. And then I could left click on this one. 3 for face. And remember, you could do select all. That'll select all the faces. E for rotate, and I could rotate this back a little bit, just so, because usually your headrest is not exactly usually straight up and down. It's at an arc a little bit. We can always move it up and down a little bit as well. I do find it's better to move the faces so that your center still stays on the center. So I went to 3 for face mode, select all because we don't have any other non-connected polygons, non-linked. So select all will work well for us there. And then just a little bit of move rotate to that to just kind of give us some adjustments for that, right? And now we can see we start to have this. Now, before I'm done, I'm going to start the legs up. And then we're going to come back later in this week and kind of do just some more fine-tune modeling to a lot of that stuff. But I figure, hey, we can get the legs started here in a minute or two. And the legs are just like we did before. You notice how this isn't really much new? Yes, automirror is available as an add-on now, but you don't have to use it. If you're still more comfortable not turning those add-ons on and doing it manually, that's fine. But I want to make sure you know about your add-ons now, and that automirror can be a cool one. So in this case, 4 for object mode. We go back to add, mesh, cube. Now remember, we want the center to stay on the center. That's going to make our mirror stuff work a lot better for us, right? So what I could do is 3 for face mode. Right? 3 is the quickie for face mode. Remember, it's edit mode, and then that one. It should convert all of those, the object to face selection, but if it doesn't, select all. And then, of course, I can hit R for scale. Remember, you could left-click drag on the white circles, but if you do middle mouse button drag, that also does the same thing. And I can move this up a little bit, right? Or not move it up, but scale it up, right? R for scale. It's right here, though. Left-click drag on the blue handle to move that. W for move. And middle mouse button will actually do view move for this. So if I do middle mouse button, you see how I can just kind of view move it? And then, of course, I can always left-click drag on the red handle, the green, to get it better positioned. Now, of course, I could do a normal add modifier mirror. But you'll notice automirror is already set up, so I can just click on automirror, and it already sets up everything for me. Now, this time if I set Y, it's not really going to work for us because our seat is not on the 0, right? So sometimes you don't set up Y for that stuff. What I can easily do is select a face, select all, and remember, you can copy specific polygons that already exist, because in this case, I probably don't want these legs to be identical. I can make them each a bit different. So in this case, I didn't really want to use a mirror for Y. But if I make sure I'm in face mode, right, select all, in the mesh menu is something called duplicate. There is a quick key for that, Control D. When you do it, it's going to do view move. So if you want, you can just left click to finalize it. and then you can move it back, and you see how you copied those polygons? Mirror's still working, but only on the x-axis. And that starts to give us our chair, right? But remember, you don't always have to use y. You could use x even for legs, because we might want them to be a little bit different, right? Maybe those move forward a little bit, and those are identical, right? And of course, remember file, right? Save. Remember recover, autosave. If you didn't save in a while, you could always recover an autosave. Saves like every 2 minutes, I think. But of course, there's save, and of course, you can even do save as. So if I want to call this, chair version 2. And there we go. And I'll stop that video there.